Hello and welcome to Cheshire. I'm Ian Kopak.
And my name's Julie Molyneux, and over the next few days we'll be exploring some fascinating parts of Cheshire on our bikes.
We're going to ride along some of the Cheshire Cycleway and other routes on the National Cycle Network. In the 1980s, a charity called Sustrans was formed, and they had the brilliant idea to create a huge network of cycle routes across the whole of the UK. The first bit of this ambitious project was to build a path all the way from Bristol to Bath, along a disused railway line. Local authorities, together with Sustrans, have made the network happen, and now there are almost 12,000 miles of routes, and about 800 of those miles are in Cheshire.
We're starting here on the border of Cheshire and Shropshire near to Whitchurch. At the bottom of the hill, Ian and I will go our separate ways on the Cheshire Cycleway. You ready to go, Ian?
Hold on a minute, we just better check the bike. Have you got everything?
Yep, I have.
Your pump?
Pump?
Puncture repair kit?
Yes.
Map?
Yes. And I've got some provisions as well.
Lovely.
Okay.
Off we go.
Cycling is great fun, but it's common sense to make it as safe as possible. Always wear a helmet and ensure it's comfortable and fits correctly. There's a wide variety of styles and colours available. Wear something bright or reflective so that you can easily be seen. Get a bell, as it's useful to let people know that you're coming. It's also essential to have all the bits and pieces to mend a puncture.
Along the way, we'll be following cycle routes which have numbered signs. Red indicates national cycle routes and the blue indicates local cycle routes.
I'm following Route 70.
And I'm following Route 45, a national cycle network route which one day will go all the way from Chester to Salisbury.
The routes across Cheshire are like a spider's web, and we'll be exploring the west and the east before meeting up again.
I'm constantly fascinated by the churches of Cheshire. This one is in Malpas, and it's a comparatively small market town, but it's got this most magnificent church built in the last half of the 14th century. The skill, the energy and the zeal of the medieval craftsmen is truly amazing. There are many specialist companies that organise cycling holidays, making it easy to travel from place to place. I met up with some friends here in Malpas that have done exactly that. Hi guys, was the food good in here?
Oh,
Yeah, it's great.
nice.
Might try it myself. Where are you off to?
We're just off to Bunbury for the night.
For the night, you're travelling light.
No, we're on a short cycling holiday. The company carry all their luggage from place to place.
That sounds pretty easy to me. I might try it myself one day. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. This is Stretton Watermill. There has been a mill on this site since 1351. Parts of today's mill date back to 1630, and the original oak frame can still be seen inside. In 1852, the original water wheel was replaced by a cast iron wheel and continued in use until 1959, when the last miller retired. From Stretton Watermill, we passed through the delightful village of Burwoodsley, en route to Beeston Castle. If it was 1225, that's the year, not the time, I'd be standing here and watching the latest of modern castles being built on the mid-Cheshire sandstone ridge. And for even better views, you can walk on the nearby Sandstone Trail. We started our journey near a canal, and I'm going to follow this one all the way to Ellesmere Port where it ends. Hiya. But I've got a few more miles to do yet. Fortunately, it's mostly flat and easy going from here on. It's important to remember that lots of people use the towpaths and they can be a bit narrow in places. Do slow down and use your bell to let people know you're there. I've now taken a short detour off route to visit a different country. I've just crossed the border into Wales on Route 5. Some of the routes, which make up the National Cycle Network, really do cover long distances. Route 5 goes all the way from Reading to Bangor. I'm now on Route 56 of the National Cycle Network, and it runs all the way from Chester to Liverpool. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the roar of a lion. And as a bird watcher, I'm sure that that's a toucan. It's a crossing for bikes and people, called a toucan. Crossing busy roads is made a lot safer and easier by using a toucan or a puffin crossing. Just press the button and wait for the signal to cross. Following the Shropshire Union Canal eventually brings me to the Ellesmere Port Boat Museum. Here I'm going to catch up with Jim McEwen, the boat and engineering manager. Hi, Jim.
Hi Ian.
Hiya. Canals seem to be a really important part of the Cheshire landscape. Why were they so important?
They're basically an important part of the landscape because they're the motorways of the 18th and 19th century. They carried all the sort of goods that you see on roads today. They carried the bulk of the nation's goods, finished products, and also people.
Did certain canal boats carry certain products?
Not really, no. Some boats were built specially for particular trades, but vast majority of boats just carried anything that happened to be available, whatever cargo was available.
What sort of things did this boat carry?
This one used to carry chocolate crumb at one stage of its life, and it also carried coal and sort of general goods, metals, tin goods.
Oh, I hope they washed it out in between.
They did indeed wash them out in between. They scrubbed them to within an inch of their lives at times.
You can cycle along lots of towpaths alongside the canals, although not all of them are surfaced as well as the stretches that we've been using. It's worth getting a free permit from British Waterways and some helpful information so you know what to expect. The pace of life on canals seems very peaceful, and more people are using them for fishing, walking and cycling. The big daddy of the canal system has to be the Manchester Ship Canal. Here it is just outside the museum, known by locals as the Big Ditch. Built in 1894, it turned Manchester from a landlocked city into a major port. And of course mill owners from Manchester could bypass Liverpool's control. It's still used today, but many of the ships only go as far as the Stanlow oil refinery. The building of the Manchester Ship Canal has helped to create this area of farmland known as Frodsham Marshes. It's surrounded by industry, and yet it's a haven for wildlife. So often, nature takes good advantage of any chunk of countryside it can find. I'm continuing on my journey along Route 5 away from the estuary and back inland. Waterways will still be a big feature of the landscape, but now we meet the Weaver Navigation. From here, I'll be travelling northeast through the picturesque villages of Budworth and Rosthern to Tatton Park. Now, Tatton Park is one of the many jewels in the crown of Cheshire. And if you're a cyclist, you get in for free. mansion was built in 1774 during the Industrial Revolution. Jane Austen, Wordsworth, Nelson were all alive at the time, and Captain Cook was sailing towards Antarctica looking for the southern continent. You could spend the whole day at Tann cycling around the park, visiting the lovely shop and just taking in the splendour of the place. There's lots of events at the park throughout the year, lots for children to do and see on the 200-acre estate. And in the cellar there's even a railway line to carry the coal. Every home should have one. Tatton Park is a great place to have a drink or something to eat. I think I'll take a break here whilst we catch up with Julie.
I've arrived at the pretty village of Audlam. This is where Route 75 and Route 70 meet. Route 75 comes from Market Drayton, which is in Shropshire, and runs up to Nantwich. The Shropshire Union Canal passes by the village of Audlam with its famous flight of 15 locks. This takes the canal up 93 feet from the Cheshire Plain to the Shropshire Plain. Recently, Audlam won the Cheshire Village of the Year award. It's easy to see why, because it's so picturesque. The village is very rural, and in the days of the horse and cart it must have seemed a very remote place to live. If you are ever passing by the church, look out for the bear stone. This is where the bear was actually chained. Well, this looks an interesting cafe, and it's got a cyclist welcome sticker in the window, so I think I'll go in and have a cup of tea. You may see lots of these stickers in cafes, pubs, tea shops or bed and breakfasts around the county. It means that the proprietors have signed up to the scheme to welcome cyclists. This is the village of Bartomley, and it's not far from Alsager. Even though I live quite close to here, I still find it breathtakingly beautiful every time I visit here. The village itself is named after an 8th century saint, and it's got a 1,000-year-old church here. All over Cheshire there are disused railway lines like this one, which are brilliant traffic-free routes for horse riders, cyclists and walkers. And this is one of them. This is the Salt Line, and it runs from Alsager to Hassel Green near Sandbach. And you can do a circular walk along it and return via the Trent Mersey Canal. This was a branch line of the North Staffordshire Railway and was originally built to carry freight for the chemical industries which grew up around the local brine springs. We're not far from Crewe here. It's still one of the major railway junctions in the country, taking you here, there and everywhere, day and night. Taking your bike on a train is easy, and it gives you lots of options for places to visit. Check with your train operator when booking your ticket to ensure that they have space for your bike. I've diverted off Route 70 to come to Sandbach, and it's market day. This market is brilliant if you want to buy some local produce. Can you tell me what local produce you've got on sale today?
Yes, all the vegetables, they're all around grown, and tomatoes, lettuce, and all Cheshire grown apples.
As well as fruit and vegetables, Cheshire is well known for its dairy products like cheese and ice cream. There's nothing better than the taste of locally produced fare using traditional methods. There are 3 sorts of Cheshire cheese: blue Cheshire, white Cheshire and red Cheshire. It's actually the oldest of the English cheeses, and it takes 6 to 12 months to mature. In addition to the market, Sandbach has a wealth of history that centres around the two 9th century stone crosses. They are decorated on all faces with carved figures, animals and vine scrolls. The stones were taken from their original site and broken up. The fragments were eventually restored to their present site in 1816. Cheshire is bursting with history, but here at Jodrell Bank they are looking at astronomical numbers. Stars that were created billions of years ago. It really is at the cutting edge of technology. It's ironic that something so modern is used to look so far into the past. I certainly won't be travelling at the speed of light on the next part of my journey. We've left the Cheshire Plain now, and the cycling gets a bit tougher. Mountain biking can be very challenging. You need the right sort of bike and the right gears to tackle some of these hills. And of course, very good brakes on the way down. If you are unsure about your bike and what it is capable of, why not pop into your local bike shop and ask their advice?
This is Lammerlode Reservoir, and it provides the drinking water for Macclesfield. This is probably the toughest part of the route now, so I think I'll stop and have a drink first before the next hill. Right, onward.
This unusual looking monument is called White Nancy, and it sits on Kerridge Ridge. There are lots of lovely villages around here, such as Wildboar Clough, Langley and Bollington, which takes its name from the River Bollin.
Rivers and canals are really important to the landscape of Cheshire, and I'm standing next to the Bollin, which actually runs under runway 2 at Manchester Airport.
Hi Julie, how are you?
Hi Ian, it's great to see you again.
How was it?
Fine, it was brilliant. I had a great ride.
Oh,
Did you?
I did, it was fantastic. Between us we've cycled right round the county and we've met up here at Northwich Community Woodlands. We're going to cycle down to Nantwich together, but first we're going to meet one of the rangers of the site here. Shall we go and find him?
Yes, let's. Hi Dave!
Hi Dave,
Hiya.
how are you?
How are we doing?
Oh, it's nice to see you. This is a beautiful area. It looks great for wildlife and there's industry quite close by. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
We're stood here right next to Cardens Ferry Bridge and we're only about a mile away from Northwich Town Centre and we're right in the midst of Northwich Community Woodlands. It's about 1,000 acres and we've got 20 miles of footpath, 7 of which is suitable for horses, and of course you can cycle around the vast majority of it.
I thought industry would be bad for wildlife.
Well, actually it's just the opposite here. We've got the chemical industry behind us and they've been tipping lime waste on here up until about the 1930s, and the plants actually thrive on it. So we've got some lovely flowers that grow here, such as fragrant orchid and marsh orchids, and throughout the rest of the woodlands of course we've got some marvellous woodlands and wonderful meadows.
Well Ian, come on, we better go. We've got to get to Nantwich, so we'll have to go now, Dave.
Okay, right,
see you again.
Nice to see you.
soon.
Yeah,
All right,
bye.
bye.
We are now on the final part of our journey, which takes us down to Nantwich. Nantwich is most famous for its salt and its Tudor buildings, most of which were rebuilt following one of the town's biggest catastrophes. The Great Fire of Nantwich in 1583 burned for 20 days and it destroyed most of the town. 4 bears in the bear pit were released for their own safety, but it hampered the firefighting somewhat.
The town was very important in those days as a major salt producer and trading centre, so Queen Elizabeth I donated £1,000 towards the town's rebuilding. This means that what we see today are fine examples of genuine Tudor buildings, not the mock Tudor buildings built by the Victorians. Here we have the real thing.
Here we are in the Bookshop Cafe. Now you can ask to visit the roof space and see the Tudor timber frame construction. It's an interesting and a spooky experience. Of course, they also sell books here. There's plenty of books on walking and cycling in Cheshire. And this little book is really excellent, with plenty of additional information. There's more than just Tudor buildings to see here too. And this church here in Nantwich is often called the Cathedral of South Cheshire, owing to its unique octagonal tower. Let's go inside and have a look around. Here we are inside the church, and here he is, the Green Man. Now, he was carved here because a wood was felled to create a site for the church. And this little fella appeases the god of trees. Maybe that's where the saying touch wood comes from. Julie and I are at the end of our journey now, and I think it's time for a well-earned rest and a bite to eat. There you go.
Gosh, that looks delicious, Ian. I'm starving.
Me too. We've covered quite a few miles on our ride round Cheshire. The National Cycle Network really has opened up the countryside. The routes are all waymarked, but we did find if we wanted to visit local attractions, you needed a map as well.
Yes, the county of Cheshire is a wonderful county for cycling round, and I think you see far more cycling round it on your bike than you would do if you were just riding round it in the car.
I was quite surprised the number of hills you had on your bit though.
Cheshire is surprisingly hilly. In fact, the further east you go, the hillier it gets. It's the Pennine foothills. But when you climb up to the top of these little hills, the views are absolutely tremendous, particularly over the Cheshire Plain.
And I was really taken back by the beautiful churches. I'd be merrily cycling along into some quiet, unspoilt village, and there'd be a wonderful church with amazing history.
Yes, there were little churches dotted around in the hills as well. Well, we do hope you've enjoyed our cycle tour of Cheshire. We've really enjoyed it, exploring the country lanes and discovering some beautiful villages. And we hope it will encourage you to get out and go cycling too. So, bye for now.